In the world of Mako, Nicole knew that the concept of time and distance here was different from the surface. Time seemed to flow by slowly, and if she wanted, it could also flash by in the blink of an eye. The passing of time in the Mako held no meaning in the first place. The planet's history was made up of accumulated memories, all merged together and were always by her side. They were memories of the present and also of the past. There was no way that Nicole could have seen all of them, but the events that were inscribed into the memories had surpassed time and were all linked together as a whole. It hinted that time was moving into the future in the world of the living. As those new memories from the surface merged together with the planet, new life would be brought into the world as the energy from the planet is delivered. That cycle told her how time flowed by one period after another. Everything was linked to the insides of the planet through the life stream. Even on the surface, in the most distant places, the flow of conscious energy would be delivered. On the other hand, there were places that were so close but yet the energy couldn't reach. There were areas that existed where even the winding flow of Mako can't get to it. Nicole thought it must be the fault of all the Mako reactors. The energy was never meant to be used that way, and if they continue to draw it out by force, it will eventually upset the balance. If the planet could help humans live a easier life, then it probably would have done so. But Shinra Inc. was going too far. If their greed was to continue, then the equilibrium of the planet's life would collapse. Nicole remembered how flowers would only bloom in the church and how the city of Midgar was drenched in Mako. And that's why the people of Shinra wanted to know where the Promised Land was. A land abundant in Mako energy where only the Cetra knew how to get to. But that place was here. It's the place where everyone would reach in the end as they returned to the planet. The land where the Shinra could obtain all the energy they wanted didn't really exist, did it? It was all just a mistake. She murmured as she herself drift with the live stream. She gazed at the moving Mako world that had very little change. The Promised Land Sephiroth had in mind was much different. He was trying to create it all by force. He was going to wound the planet on purpose so that almost all the energy would gather in one place, so that he himself would control it all alone. That was the Promised Land Sephiroth wanted. Nicole shivered as she imagined what the planet would be like if that happened. I wonder if Schneider and the others are alright. I hope Maeve and Schneider aren't pushing themselves too hard going after Sephiroth. Schneider? Maeve? Jay? The waves of one of the consciousnesses right beside her expanded as it reacted to her words. She rushed to leave the current as she was in because it was the first time she came across another firm consciousness other than herself. When she reached the place where it came from, a shadow rose from the Mako. It wasn't as clear an image as Nicole, but she knew it was the remnant of a female. You know them? Who are you? It seemed her memory was muddled. It was probably because most of her soul had already merged with the Mako, but her core hadn't decomposed, and she was still drifting there as a whole. Oh, I have to introduce myself first. I'm Nicole. Could you be one of Avalanche's members? Avalanche? Yes, that's right. The memory she had was being reconstructed from the Sea of Mako. Realizing who she was once again, her transparent figure rapidly returned to the form she had when she was on the surface. As if Nicole had some influence on her, the colors also came back to her. Compared to Nicole, she still looked faint, but she looked human now, and the clothing she had worn also reappeared. Her hair was tied back in a ponytail so that it wouldn't get in her way, and her clothing looked like that of a soldier. She too had arrived here too early, and she was about Nicole's age. How stupid of me to forget. I'm Jessie from Avalanche. Hey, are you Miss Nicole? You can just call me Nicole. Thanks, Nicole. You know Schneider, Maeve, and Jay, don't you? How is everyone? Are they still finding Shinra? Oh. Jessie shook her head as if to apologize. You must be like me now that you've come here. Don't worry, I'm sure they're all fine. She changed her thoughts as she tried not to think about Schneider. Here she couldn't lie, so she had to not think about it. There was something that bothered Jay for a long time, so you died that time. You were one of the people who were trying to protect the Sector 7 pillar as a member of Avalanche back then. I've only met Mr. Wedge so far. Wedge? Jessie's eyes widened. Yes, Biggs too. All three of us arrived here together but lost sight of each other. Yes, until just a moment ago I couldn't remember anything. Until I met you, Nicole. As if guided by Jessie's memories, two more figures appeared. The forms of a man with a thin beard and another that was stout-bodied rapidly formed together. Whoa. The bearded man Biggs stared at the palm of his hands. I'm still me. I thought I was going to disappear. I'm so happy I can see the two of you again, and you're the one that nursed me that time, Miss Nicole? Did you die too? Instead of giving the obvious answer, Nicole nodded with a smile. It's been a long time, Mr. Wedge. It's nice to meet you, Mr. Biggs. After all that time, I became a member of Avalanche too, so that kind of makes me a junior to all of you, doesn't it? That kind of shows how dangerously high the death rate for Avalanche is, doesn't it? Is Jay still the swagger of a guy he is? Well, he is a likable guy. Junior? I'm too happy. It's always been my aspirations to be a senior. After that, Nicole told all three of them what Avalanche was fighting for now. It wasn't just Shinra Inc. anymore, but also with the much more dangerous existence known as Sephiroth. They had left Midgar to stop his evil ambitions of making the planet his. So Schneider's become one of us now. I'm so happy. He's a cold guy, but I knew he would join us. Does that mean Mr. Schneider is a junior too? He's going to be tough to deal with. There was a lot of commotion among the fandoms of the Avalanche members as they laughed and smiled, but in the end Nicole noticed their sadness. Some deep remorse bound the three of them together. What's wrong? All of you look like you're in pain. Well, it's because of the way our lives ended. We can't redeem ourselves now. Jesse looked down sadly as Biggs continued. We fought with Avalanche because we had the same sympathy and thoughts. We thought that it couldn't be helped to save a few sacrifices if we were to stop Shinra, but we were completely wrong. We understood that when we came here. You know about it too, don't you, Nicole? About the explosion of the first sector Mako reactor. Yes. The first sector was a little distance opposite from the slums I lived in. We weren't told about it, but we heard quite a lot of people died. At that time we only thought that they were getting what they deserved if they got caught in the explosion, since they were all people that worked for Shinra on the upper plate. But in the end all of us ended up here whether we worked for Shinra or not, so we've been thinking about why we did it. All we were really doing was raising our voices and shouting out our opinions like drunks. We were just over-exaggerating about how we were saving the planet. I too didn't think about that much. I didn't want a minor role in life. I wanted to shine. So I thought by joining Avalanche I could be a hero who could save the future of the planet, and that's all I thought about. I never imagined that it would get others involved. It's just so foolish. Wedge lowered his head in embarrassment. The whole plan was actually drafted by the old Avalanche, which no longer exists anymore. Jesse went on regretfully. There were many more members in Avalanche, and they were a much more extreme group. We only inherited the name of their resistance group, Avalanche, from those people who are no longer around. But details of how to make a bomb and the plans of where to set it were left on a computer. Since I was good with machinery and bombs, I decided to try it. But I'm sure that plan was never intended to be used to just disable Mako Reactor 1. The people that came up with the horrific plan hated the Shinra. They hated them so much that they would go as far as sacrificing lots of people. I should have realized it. Jay knew nothing about it. That's why we, dejected, Biggs looked up to the sky. Why we wanted to merge with the planet right away. We wanted to disappear. I remember now, but it was impossible. Jay's fighting to save even more people. We can't do any of that to atone for our sins. We can only be here and continue to suffer. In the end, it was all too easy for us to forget who we were because we wanted to be at ease here. It just didn't work. When we had the chance, we would revert the way we were. Even then, we're not as clear an entity as you are. It's somewhat like a curse. They all laughed with self-derision until it ended with a sigh. But, Nicole tried to comfort them with her words. Everyone's been wrong before. Even I have been selling flowers thoughtlessly for money. I really can't compare my stupidity to that. But all of you have been suffering all this time. Thanks, Nicole, but as a senior in Avalanche, it's such a shameful story. All that big talk feels like it's backfired on me.